So here is the good thing, that we broke this triangle to the upside, and now we actually having a higher high, especially if you look at the lower time frames. So technically this descending channel is not valid anymore, and in fact this price tested the top of this triangle or a pennant formation once again, and after it did it right here, it is a very strong confirmation of this pennant existence. So of course we will not know whether the price will go and test this line, maybe because it may serve as a triangular formation for the price, or it may actually continue to move within this triangle for a week or more. However, looking at this triangle, you also can notice that we actually have the decline in the volume here, and it's also a reasonable thing for the pennant formation, and if it will be broken upwards, then we'll see the move something like this to the target of maybe $10,000 or so. But again, in order to do that, we need to see the breakout on the high volume and make a new higher high above something like $8,400. And although I continue to remain relatively bullish on this side, there is a scenario which we need to consider, and here's what I'm talking about. So you see, around this area there was a consensus. You remember a lot of the positive news about Bakkt, about Starbucks accepting cryptocurrencies, about Microsoft making the product on Bitcoin blockchain, and so on and so forth. Even eBay news, which appeared to be not real, but in any case, we had this rally kind of on the positive news background. Now, what we're having here? Here we have, a part of other things, Facebook plans to launch global coin currency in 2020, in early 2020. Telegram to launch TON network in Q3, basically very soon this year. AT&T accepting bitcoins through BitPay, and so on and so forth. So why this kind of positive news background doesn't lead to the breakout of this triangle and the continuation of this growth? Well, first option is that that was actually a coincidence and the price of Bitcoin doesn't correlate with the news, and it would be really fair. But another thing is that if you'd assume that huge players were accumulating over here and maybe here, getting that huge volume on this rise because of the news, they may plan to actually sell right now, because since the price doesn't go up, they may wait until the price will make a higher high, or actually even push the price a little bit higher, in order to make other people buy on this news and maybe potentially more news to come. So the new liquidity, similar to what we saw here, will appear around that area, and then on this liquidity those huge players will sell their bags to newcomers or just FOMOing people, and then the price will go lower because buyers will be over, but the capital of those huge players out there is much higher. So in that case, the price may go something like this, something like that. And another thing is that if you look at the weekly time frame, then here you would see this wick, which didn't end yet, of course, but this wick candle looks pretty much as the hanging man. And a hanging man candlestick is believed to be a bearish reversal pattern when we see an uptrend, and after this candle and confirmation of this candle, on the next one we may see the drop in the price. It's a bit of a controversial candle though, because as David Puel mentioned on Twitter to me when I mentioned this, he said that by Thomas Bolkovsky, although theory says that it acts a bearish reversal, according to his tests it works as a bullish continuation in almost 60% of the time. So it should work something like that. Although even here they mentioned that this statistic shouldn't be considered as something really meaningful to trade this, or at least to trade with confidence. But in any case, this thing is the one which should be considered. Now, if you will assume that the price will go lower finally, then what is the area of where the price will stop? So here is my point. You remember previously I mentioned this zone from 5,400 to 6,060, and I still stick with this area as the area where I will buy Bitcoin, expecting this to be the lowest area, and I basically will not set any stops below that. But technically I actually think that it's very unlikely that the price will go there for very long, or actually too far to this area, and I would think that it will stop somewhere around here. The reason why I think so is that not only because of the major support areas and moving averages are around here, but also because if you remember, a lot of people out there were saying that this area served as a very strong support in 2018. Now it should serve as a very strong resistance, and the price will definitely have, well, most likely, very likely will have a pullback downwards if it will reach this area. And many people out there are thinking that this is actually real, this is correct. So they set their take profits somewhere around this zone, and a lot of people were selling, and you see the volume of this area is huge. So in fact, somebody was buying this. So the simplest thing which you can think of is that somebody with a bigger position was buying those which you can call reasonable traders, which were closing their long positions in this area. But then, since those people saw that the price actually went against their expectation, they may actually try to enter here, and that was the first point when they were shaken out. And now they're expecting that, okay, well, maybe some of them still went long, but they're expecting if the price will return back and we will be able to at least went long at the same price which we closed our long position, then it's okay, and we will happily do that. So if the price, according to this scenario, will go something like this or whatever, it will reach this area, then those people who were selling here will start to buy at this point. And if the whales, quote unquote whales, will try to dump the price, then for them it will be not very reasonable to push the price to this area, because there is a lot of buyers except themselves. So even if the price will go lower, I don't think that they will let the price to reach this zone. And speaking about the expectations of where the price can go, here is the correlation which I noticed. And you see, usually when the Bitcoin price is going up, the capital flows from the altcoins to Bitcoin, which leads to the rise of the domination of Bitcoin. But in the recent history, like a month or so, we can see that this rise of the dominance of Bitcoin, or in other words, the drop of the price of altcoins relative to Bitcoin, actually started to happen a little bit earlier than the rise of the price of Bitcoin itself. And the same basically happened with the drop of the price of Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance decrease, when the process is opposite. So when the capital flows back from Bitcoin to altcoins, the dominance is going down, but the price is still at the same zone and start to go lower only later, like 1 day, 1.5 days, maybe 2 days. And here you see a little bit lower amplitude of such fluctuations, but still very similar in terms of the timing. Of course, it's not set in stone and it's not financial advice, guys, but in any case, if we will see something like this, or maybe something like this for the dominance before the price will start to make a move, then we shall pay attention for the price, because 1 day later we may actually see the change in the price of Bitcoin according to this correlation. And it basically works in both ways. And speaking about the altcoins, here is the article mentioning that Weight Ratings places Cardano as one of the most effective and profitable blockchain platforms. I'm not quite sure, guys, why Cardano didn't shoot to the moon on this news, maybe because of the same reason why Bitcoin doesn't go up on its bullish news. But in any case, just wanted to mention that when you're asking about altcoins, don't forget that we have those old players in the market which have very high potential, and Cardano, many believe, is one of those huge cap coins which didn't grow as much as many others did. So we may expect that Cardano will catch up eventually. And again, not financial advice, but just something to consider. And that is it for today. I hope it was useful. Thank you for watching.